What's going on, everybody? This Ricondo, another Falcons fan, coming back at you with another video. So, what we're going to talk about today is training camp and how excited I am about training camp and the 2021 Atlanta Falcons. Hey, I'm just going to tell you guys, personally, I can't wait to let's get this thing rolling. I'm so excited. I'm so interested to see how everything is going to work out for our team. It's been very exciting. Um, Lots of unknowns about to happen this year. Of course, we lost Julio. Um, so it's really going to be very very exciting this year, and it's going to start on Tuesday with training camp. And one of the main things that everybody been talking about, just watching all over the Atlanta Falcons content creators, and looking at the networks and everybody talking about training camp battles. And for Atlanta Falcons, I think it is very, 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 very important for us to actually to see um, this this competition take place for our team, because we have a lot of turnover with the coaching staff. We got a lot of turnover with players, so I don't think not many players on the team can say just pencil me in as a starter this year. I think it's going to be a lot of battles across the board, but some more interesting than others, of course. Um, so today we're going to talk about some of those that we really that I'm looking forward to, and I hope you guys are looking forward to as well. So we're going to talk about, of course, the left guard position. Of course, the whole offensive line is important, but we're just going to focus on that left guard position, which is, I think, one of the most anticipated camp battles that's going to be out there. Our left guard position, um, the running back position, um, the second cornerback position, and last but not least is the who's going to be on the other side of Dante Fowler Jr. Uh, in that pass rush position, that outside linebacker position for DNP's defense. So between those positions, um, it's going to be interesting. So a lot of guys going to be competing for those positions, and hopefully by the end of camp, we'll be able to get the best starting 22 players out there to start against the Philadelphia Eagles in September. So let's go to the left guard position. Right now, they got Josh Andrews being penciled in as a starter, and I think that's just a placeholder. If you look at Josh Andrews' career, he's been in the league a while, but he have not been a starter that many times in the league on different teams he's been on. So I think they brought Josh Andrews in as depth more than anything. So the ideal situation for the ideal situation for the Atlanta Falcons probably was to start Matt Gunno at that position. However, as we all know, Matt Gunno was put on the injury report. They said it's not season-ending injury, so hopefully he'll be back sometime, during the off season. During the season. So, but in the meantime, we got to have somebody in that position to start for the season. So, personally, my opinion, I think the ideal scenario, if it can't be Matt Gunno, it's probably more than likely it's gonna, which is probably a scary situation. But I think according to the reports, probably be better than Josh Andrews would be. Hopefully, Jalen Mayfield can win that starting position over Josh Andrews. Of course, they brought Jalen Mayfield in because he's one of those nasty young offensive linemen who likes to get after defense players and push them around. He's very aggressive, which is, and we need a little nastiness to our offensive line. of course, we got some people on the line like Jay Matthews, technicians, Christian Intrams, and stuff like that. But we actually need guys on the line that's nasty, able to get out there, guys. Players something like Harvey Dahl used to be, back in the day on the offensive line. So if we can get some nastiness on the line, that would be great, especially when, of course, a lot of emphasis is going to be trying to run the ball a lot. And we talked about the inside zone and the outside zone for Arthur Smith offense. So 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 let's just think about getting a offensive guards in that's going to be nasty and they want to run the ball. Most offensive line want to run the ball anyway. So if Jalen Mayfield can actually win out that competition between himself, Josh Andrews, um, I think Drew Dalman or Matt Hennessy, whoever does not win that center position, also is going to be um, playing the role of left guard as well. Now, one thing interesting about Jalen Mayfield is that since Matt Gunno is injured, and you know, either Matt Gunno or Jalen Mayfield was going to have to play swing tackle as well. So, like I said, it'd be great for Jalen Mayfield to win that left guard position, but then you'll fall in a scenario where who's going to be our swing tackle? So, that's something to consider about that left guard position. Um, since Matt Gunno was out, and of course, we're definitely going to need a swing tackle, somebody to, in case one of our starting tackles, left or right tackle, get hurt. We need somebody going to be able to fill in that role and be that swing tackle. Like I said, more than likely, if Matt Gunno was healthy, Matt Gunno's probably going to win the left guard position. Then you can have Jalen Mayfield be that swing tackle, or vice versa, where Jalen Mayfield wins that starting left guard position. Then Matt Gunno could have been the swing tackle because he does have experience in being that swing tackle, as we all know. So that's one of the most interesting battles we're going to see. Of course, like I said in the last video, we have 14 offensive linemen. So, but right off the bat, most of those guys we brought in, of course, they're depth pieces. It's going to be interesting to see how many offensive line we actually keep for the Atlanta Falcons. But personally, I'm thinking that Jalen Mayfield is actually going to win that left guard position. But then we're going to have to figure out who our swing tackle is going to be. The next position we're going to talk about is the running back position. Of course, we know it's going to be very important to run the ball this year. I think Mike Davis is going to be the one who's actually going to be our starting running back to start the season. But then that's the question, the depth behind Mike Davis. Of course, we have Audrey Ollison, who's a very interesting player that we have on the team because he's been with us 3 seasons, but he's been like in the doghouse for the Atlanta Falcons for a while for some reason. Okay, so one of the rumors out there is that he can't block, he can't pass block. Of course, any running back who cannot pass block will not get play time because that's very important, especially for the quarterback. And then you're gonna blow up the play. So if you cannot pass block as a running back, you will not just in NFL, any level of of football. If you can't pass block, it's probably not a good idea to have that guy on the field. For one reason, I mean, if he can't pass block, I mean, the defense already knows it must be a running play because he can't pass block while he's out there. They know it's not a pass because he can't block. So it must be a running play. And so you kind of tip your hand for a running back. And what's really interesting about Quadri Ollison is that he's one of the bigger backs. So he should be able to hold his own in pass block protection, during passing plays for our quarterback. Like I said, that's the rumor. We don't know if that's the case, but I can tell you this: this year he's actually going to get his opportunity. He's going to be able to compete and show if that was just a rumor or if he cannot block. And if he can't block, he might not make the team because between the undrafted free agents that we brought on, between Caleb Huntley, Jalen Hawkins, Mike Davis, and then we got Cordell Patterson also is going to be a running back. It's going to be very interesting to see how many running backs the Atlanta Falcons decide to keep. But if Cordell Allison can't block, um, one maybe Caleb Huntley might want to get a chance, get him a crack at it, and see can he fill in as that second running back, or maybe Cordell Patterson might be that second running back. Of course, he had some carries last year with Chicago Bears. He's always looked like as a gadget guy, more of a receiver, but he has been used as a running back in both New England and in Chicago. So I could see Cordell Patterson actually being a number 2 back behind Mike Davis. And then personally, I see Javian Hawkins making the team. I think he's a dynamic young running back that can give us change of pace. Instead of having all those big bodies running back like we have with Davis, Patterson, Olsen, and Huntley, Javian Hawkins give us a different look on running backs. So that's one thing we can actually look at and see Javian Hawkins actually making the team. Now they do have Tony Brooks James, and some people try to sleep on Tony Brooks James, but we haven't seen a lot of him as well. So maybe he can come in and show this new regime something. So you really don't know. That's why it's so interesting to see, because none of these guys is a lock in behind Mike Davis and Cordell Patterson to actually make this team. So running back position is going to be very interesting. And for one reason, it's going to be interesting. Like I said, it depending on how many running backs they decide to keep. They decide to keep 4 running backs, then also a fullback. So that 5, backs in the backfield. And if anybody knows Arthur Smith, he likes to use his tight end sometime to play that fullback position. So in some of his formations. So like we can see Keith Smith line up at fullback, and look like that should be 3 tight ends on the field, and 12, and 12. But then you have the third tight end lined up in the backfield like that's a fullback. So you never know how many running backs, fullbacks that Arthur Smith planning on keeping. All right, the next position we're going to talk about is the second cornerback on the other side of AJ Terrell. And we talk about that. We talking about either Kendall Sheffield, either Darren Hall, or even Fabian Moreau or Avery Williams. So between those 4 cornerbacks, who's gonna be that second cornerback on the other side of AJ Terrell? Right now they have Fabian Moreau as the penciled in starter, of course, because he's probably the most veteran corner out of the 4 that I just mentioned. But Kendall Sheffield was drafted by the Atlanta Falcons a couple years ago. I think it's time for him to show that he's capable of actually being a cornerback in the NFL, or being a quality depth piece, or his days could be over. Of course, we got Darren Hall, who look like he has a lot of potential. However, he is a rookie. So I don't know if you would if you want to have AJ Terrell one side, second year player, then starting the rookie on the other side. Um, that'll be very interesting to see. I mean, they started rookie last year, AJ Terrell. So I mean, even though he was a first round draft pick, but so it'll be very interesting to see if they decide to start um, Darren Hall. My money is going on Faye Moreau because, like I said, his experience that he have. And if you look at what he did in with the Washington football team, they tried to play him a lot in slot, but it looked like the reps he had outside was a little bit better. So I actually think he plays better on the outside, vice inside. That's why I don't see Fabian Rowe playing any slot. I see him playing more on the outside, and then I could see Kendall Sheffield, Darren Hall, and Avery Williams playing more on the inside as a slot. Now, when we talk about slots, one person I didn't mention was Isaiah Oliver, because I think Isaiah Oliver, they had him listed as safety on the depth chart, earlier this off season. And the reason I think that, because he's actually probably going to play more inside, because if everybody remember last year when he was moved inside under Raheem Morris, he started to actually excel in that in that role. So I think the new coaching staff kind of seen that on film, was like, a bigger corner that can tackle really good. It's probably an idea to keep him there, and so that's why I didn't mention Isaiah Oliver. I think Isaiah Oliver is going to be more inside slot, because where they played him at last year, and he actually excelled at that position. So, like I said, my money is going on Faye Moreau as a second corner, and then if we go dime, and because I think nickel is going to be Isaiah Albert, but we decide to go dime, it's going between those other three cornerbacks that I just mentioned: Darren Hall, Avery Williams, and Kendall Sheffield. Now, I actually think they're going to keep 5 corners on the team. So if that's the case, um, all those guys should make the team. And then it depends on if they decide to actually make Isaiah Albert as a safety. Because if they don't, they still have him as a cornerback, then that'll be 6 corners. So, but I actually think all the corners um, that I just mentioned is actually going to make the team. The last position that I want to talk about is going to be the defense end position. Now, this is very interesting because we know Dean Pease like to play the 3-4. He did mention that he could play both 4-3 and 3-4. But if he let's just stick to the 3-4, and we just talk about outside linebacker. So my starting 4 linebackers that I think is actually going to be on the field to start the game is going to be Dante Fowler Jr., Foye Oluokun, Deion Jones, and I think the other outside linebacker is going to be Michael Walker. Now, and the reason I say that, because I think Michael Walker actually had experience to rush the passer. If you go back and look at his film in college, he actually rushed the passer a lot. They actually had him playing in a lot of different roles, but he does have experience of rushing the passer, and I think us moving to 3-4 actually can slot him back and doing that a little bit more. Of course, we have players that you consider putting out there as JTM, Jacob Tuodi Mariner. You can actually think about him being out there. You can think about the drafted rookie Okendeji. He can be out there. Of course, we have Steven Means. So, but I think those guys are more of a backup. When I mean Steven Means, Okendeji is just a rookie, so I don't think he's ready to actually put himself in that role. And then I think with Michael Walker, because he's able to cover, when we do the zone blitzes, I think it'll be really important for somebody like Michael Walker out there being able to drop back into that zone coverage when we do zone blitzes, when Dean P start to start to start bringing blitzes from everywhere, like he was talking about. Um, so in my opinion, um, and like I said, time will tell to see if something like this could actually work out. But to me, those the best four linebackers that we have on the team. Um, so why not have a best four linebackers on the field starting the game? Of course, you can bring in a player like Brandon Copeland, to spell one of those middle linebackers to also rush because he's an excellent rusher as well. When you call blitzes, DNP like to call blitzes. Um, we all was able to see what Jacob Tuodi Mariner was able to do last year when he had his opportunity. Steven Means, he's a good depth guy. He's definitely gonna play hard and make plays. And then, like I said, Okendeji, a rookie. But just because he's a rookie, don't mean that he can't go out there and impress the coaching staff and move up the depth chart. And jump some of those guys I mentioned. But in my opinion, I just think that you put Dante Fowler Jr. on one side, um, Dion and Foyer in the middle, and then Michael Walker on the other side. Now, like I said, of course, we're going to be a little small, but at the same time, I think with the speed that we have with those guys and their ability to cover and we drop back in zone, that's going to be awesome. So I'm really looking to see if Dean Pease and his coaching staff kind of thinking the same way I'm thinking on that, and hopefully, if that is the way he's thinking, it works out well. Now the question is going to be when we have all those fast guys out there, as linebackers, who's going to play inside? Of course, we're going to have Grady, and more than likely probably going to have Tyler Davidson, and probably Marlon Davidson. So, but I would not count out, like I said, uh, Jacob Tuodi Mariner. I would not count out John Kaminsky. John Kaminsky is actually going to be able to get an opportunity as well. And then another rookie that we drafted, Taquan Graham, who's actually is going to be another depth piece for us. So I think we have a lot of good pieces that Dean Pease can work with. But for outside linebacker, in my opinion, I just think that if we want to see the best athletes out there, the best starting 11 on defense, it's going to be those four linebackers that I just mentioned: Fowler, Olakun, Jones, and Walker. And if you do that, and then you're looking on the backside, of course, because I didn't mention safeties, but we're talking about Terrell and Moreau at corners, and then our two safeties. I think it's going to be Herman and Grant. So that's my starting 11 on defense on a 3-4. Those four linebackers, both Davidsons and Grady, and then on the back end, Terrell, Moreau, Harmon, and Grant. That's my starting 11 on defense. And if I think if that pans out, we have a lot of athletes on there, a lot of guys that like to go get the ball. We have a lot of speed. We have all our linebackers that's able to cover, and we got the monster Grady in the middle. Wreaking havoc on that defensive line. So um, you guys let me know what y'all think about my starting 11. See if you think that's how it's gonna pan out. Of course, that always going to factor in um, if we're able to stay healthy during training camp. Of course, so if we know injuries and I think that's going to be our starting 11 on defense. And of course, when we go nickel, they're going to bring in Isaiah Oliver. It's that big nickel. And then we're going to be able to rotate some of our defense ends, like I said, with our depth pieces that we have. Because this is the first year, I believe, personally, that we have depth that we can rotate and keep these guys fresh. So we can stay fast and physical like Dan Quinn always wanted to be. So, guys, that's what I think about training camp. That's what I think about the camp battles. Like I said, the left guard position. So my left guard is going to be Jalen Mayfield. My running backs is going to be Davison. Mike Davis, Cordell Patterson. I think Quadra Allison is going to make the team because I think he can pass block. We just got to see it. And then Jalen Hawkins for our running backs. I think they're going to keep 4 running backs. And then second cornerback, Fabian Monroe. And then our other pass rusher on the other side, Michael Walker, in that 3-4. So that's with all the camp battles, when all smoke clears, all said and done, I think that's where we're going to stand. So I'm going to go on record saying it now. That's what I think. Let's see if my opinion correct. And see if they bring somebody else in. So, guys, with that being said, the next time you guys hear from me will be, of course, after training camp starts, and hopefully we can start getting some good news from the sidelines and what we actually see. Personally, I will be there at the Benz on August 7th myself. Maybe I can get some good content and see what I tell you guys what I see on the field. Hopefully see some of you guys there. Like I said, this is Ricondo, a real Falcons fan. Peace.